In this episode, we will talk about the color variations and color patterns of the chestnut horse. Solid means that there isn't any particular type of pattern on that horse. A solid horse is still able to have white facial markings, seen on this horse here, and white leg markings, also seen on this horse here. In other species, like guinea pigs, solid is referred to as self. The Palomino is a chestnut horse that has one copy of the cream gene. We'll talk about genetics in a later episode. The Palomino can be golden in body color, chocolate in body color, or even almost white in body color. Their mane and tail should be flaxen or white, like shown in this picture here. A Palomino may or may not additionally have dapples. There's not a certain gene that causes dapples. Some Palominos may have them due to diet or due to being in a barn, especially during the summer, where the sun isn't bleaching out their color. A Cremello is a chestnut horse with two copies of the cream gene. This is a white horse with white mane and tail, white body, and they have blue eyes. Flaxen chestnuts are another color variation that can occur with a chestnut horse. The flaxen, or the white mane and tail, are an additional gene. This is different from the silver gene that can be seen in bays and blacks. The silver gene does not affect red coat color, and if a horse that's chestnut carries the silver gene, you will not be able to visibly see it. Flaxen chestnuts are often found in the Belgian and Haflinger horse breeds. A liver chestnut is a very dark chestnut. A liver chestnut can be so dark that they appear to be black. This horse here is a red roan. A red roan is also called strawberry roan, sorrel roan, chestnut roan, or even rose roan. You can see on this horse here that it has a chestnut mane, chestnut tail, its face is chestnut, and its lower legs are chestnut. Its body has a ticking pattern where there are white hairs mixed within those chestnut hairs. The roaning affects the body. Here we have a red dun or a chestnut dun. You can see on this horse on the left that there's a dorsal stripe running down its back. You can see on this foal that there's a stripe down the shoulder. Some duns have that, some not. The more common characteristics of that dun color are that dorsal stripe, and then on this foal you can see those zebra stripings on the knees and hocks. You can also see on the horse on the left that the color on the tail, face, mane, and lower legs is less diluted than the body color. The Tobiano is one of a few color patterns that a paint or pinto horse can have. Now, in the US, we typically use paint and pinto kind of interchangeably. Pinto isn't all that common for us to use, even though pinto technically means the color pattern itself, and paint is supposed to mean the breed of horse, the American paint horse. We just call them all paints. This color pattern specifically is Tobiano. Tobiano horses typically have color in the flank area, like on the horse on the left, the chest area, and then sometimes along the back in between the withers and the hindquarters, like that horse on the left. They do typically have white coming up the hind legs, up the hindquarters, and then up the front legs, up the shoulder, and onto the neck, like this horse on the left. The horse on the right is a less extreme version of Tobiano, but is in fact a Tobiano. The Overo gene causes this particular pattern type in paints. You can see on the horse on the left has a less extreme, meaning less white on her body than the horse on the right. The Overo gene can be as minimal as just white on the face and normal markings on the legs. They may have belly spots. It's pretty common for Overo paints to have belly spots. And then just the white kind of centralized to the midsection of their body. These Overo patterned horses will have color, their regular base color, like these two horses are Chestnut, over the top of their back. The color is over their back on these horses. The Tovero is actually where the horse has one Tobiano gene and one Overo gene. We'll talk about those genes in a genetics episode to come later. The Tovero horse is typically almost completely white. They may have white, or not white, but color on their flank, their chest, maybe the tops of their head, their ears, maybe around their eye. The medicine hat paint horses are Tovero in pattern. The Sobino type pattern is similar to the Roan horses and the Overo horses. The Sobino horses have more of a flecking or paint splatter type look to them. The white typically is on their face and starts up their legs, moving towards the tops of their bodies. This one isn't so much a pattern as just an example of what you can have with genetics. This is a red roan dun or a red dun roan. Both of these horses are chestnut base colors with the roan gene and the dun gene. You can see on this foal on the right, there's a dorsal stripe going down its back. It means it's a dun horse. You can also see on that foal that it's white throughout its body. So it's also a red roan. That horse is red roan dun or red dun roan. Same thing with this mare on the left. She is white throughout her body, showing that white ticking pattern. And then on her face, you can see that she is dun in coloration. The leopard is a coat pattern that comes with Appaloosa
the United States.
horses, whether that means the Appaloosa horse breed or other breeds that have the Appaloosa coat patterns.
The first pattern is
the leopard pattern specifically means that the horse generally will have an entirely white body, and the color that they are, like these two horses are
colored
chestnut,
spots.
the spotting will be that color. So these two horses are white with chestnut spots throughout their body.
Is
the next pattern type for
the
Appaloosas
next pattern
is
for Appaloosas.
This horse is a chestnut horse.
The blanket Appaloosas
and
tend
has
to have
a white blanket
the regular base
over
color,
its hindquarters and back.
then across their back and hindquarters.
The next pattern type for Appaloosas
is white
is
coloration.
The
blankets can be solid white or have
and has a white
color
blanket
spotted within it
over its hindquarters and back.
The snowcap pattern
the snowcap is another pattern for
by
Appaloosa
that regular base
The difference
color
between the snowcap and the blanket is the blanket may have additional spots running through the blanket
snowcap
itself.
Pattern is
similar
distinguished
to the leopard
by
pattern.
That regular
the
base
snowcap
color
Appaloosa will just have white dusting across the hindquarters. Or can have a bigger blanket.
The snowcap
that's
pattern
just solid white.
is distinguished by that. The varnish pattern
is another pattern.
Is similar
to
Roans.
It's similar to the Roan gene in coloration.
Horses typically
and it's also similar to the gray
gene
every
in
coloration.
Year, but won't
varnish horses typically will become more and more white every year,
like
but
they
will not completely white out or gray out
the varnish
as a gray horse would.
Snowflake Appaloosa
The last Appaloosa
is
pattern
that
that we're going to talk
normal
about today
base color
is the snowflake.
with
This horse has
white
its chestnut base
dusting
color with white
throughout
dusting
the
or
coat.
white snowflakes
It's not
across its body.
located just
The
to one
snowflake
part of the
pattern
horse's
can be
body.
very
That
minimal to
dusting
one
can
or
be
two spots,
all over, or
or
just on one
the entire
shoulder, just
body
on an
can have
ear, a
spots
hind
or
quarter.
flakes of that white
There
coloration.
isn't any rhyme or reason to the placement for that white.
If anyone has any questions, please let me know, and don't forget to like and follow.